Music theory lesson on how to read sheet music. I tried to make this video as thorough as possible. Theory lesson on how to read sheet music. I tried to make this video as thorough as possible, so feel free to take breaks. Sheet music is just one form of music notation. Another would be guitar tablature. Tablature is very old. Guitar tablature stems from Lute tablature, and the first ever Lute tablature was in 1536 by Louis Milan. Tablature tells you where to put your fingers and does not necessarily tell you what pitches to play, but sheet music like this specifies what pitches to play. Titles, subtitle, and composer are self-explanatory. An arranger is someone who sets the music for a different ensemble of instruments. The next thing you would look at is this. This is normally where there is a composer's indication telling you more specifically how to play the piece. In this case, adagio is Italian for slowly. Most of these words would most likely be in Italian, but other languages like German, Spanish, French are common too. This is why having a dictionary would be a good idea. There will also be other composers' indications above the staff and sometimes below. The metronome marking is a more specific tempo marking. This is the number that you would actually put into the metronome, and each click would be a quarter note of time, which I will explain later. This tells you what instrument it is. These are called clefs. This is called the treble clef or G clef, and this is the bass clef or F clef, and these notate what a single line is. It's called the G clef because it kind of looks like a G spelling out this line, and it's kind of telling you that this line is a G. And then this is an F clef because it looks like these two dots are encompassing this line, and it's telling you that this line is an F. And so these are mnemonic devices to help you remember the lines and spaces. For the treble clef spaces, you would remember face. For the treble clef lines, it's every good boy does fine. For the bass clef spaces, all cars eat gas. And for bass clef lines, good burritos don't fall apart. So this would be a good time to pause the video and write this down. I would recommend going online and printing out some empty sheet music so that you don't actually have to draw all the lines. So now let's take a look at how rhythm works. If you were in 4/4 time, this note, a whole note, would fill an entire measure and get 4 beats. A half note is 2 beats, so 2 half notes would fill a measure. A quarter note is 1 beat, so 4 quarter notes would fill a measure, etc. An eighth note, 8 eighth notes would fill a measure, and 16 16th notes would fill a measure, and vice versa. You can divide it in half. 2 16th notes equal an eighth, 2 eighths equal a quarter, 2 quarters equal a half, 2 halves equal a whole note. Also keep in mind that these are the basic ones. There are symbols designated for longer beat durations, like 8 beats, so there is something longer than a whole note, but it's pretty rare. And there are also 32nd notes and 64th notes. The pattern just continues. So let's take a look back at the sheet music to see how this works. You can see that there's 4 beats a measure because this is 4. The number up top means how many beats there are in a measure, and the number on the bottom is what symbol gets a beat. Divide the quarter note into 2 eighth notes, and I'll just double these. It'll still be the same pitches, it'll just be doubled. We can listen to what that sounds like. 4, 1, and 2, Now we can try as fast as that with 16th notes. For 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and 1. And then this right here is a whole note which gets 4 beats. So you would count out 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So also keep in mind that these notes are the same notes as these notes. That this G and this G are the same G, this C and this C are the same. It's just that the different clefs are specifying what different letter names for each line, so they look different. Which is why there are clefs in the first place. So you want to have ideally you want to have a clef that causes the least amount of letter lines as possible, because these are kind of hard to read. And you can hear how they were the same thing. So if we divided this whole note into 2 half notes, we can listen to what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I would pause the video and write these down, and I'll show you 3/4 time, which is also called waltz time. Put three quarter notes in there because a quarter note equals a beat, but watch, the program won't even let me put a 4th beat in. 2/2 or cut time. This is where a half note gets a beat, so 2 half notes would fill a measure. And the program won't let me put any more than that. And then 3/8 and 1/8 note gets a beat. So 3/8 notes fill a measure, and it won't let me put a 4th one in. So 4/4 or common time, 3/4 or waltz time, 2/2 or cut time, 3/8 are the most common ones, but there are other ones. And the rhythm hierarchy for notes works the same way as rests, with these symbols. So we can remove an 1/8 note and have a rest, and you can listen to what that sounds like. And then you can have a half note rest. And then you might be asking, how do you notate something that has 3 beats or a half a beat? And then that's what this symbol is for, my dot. So this would be 3 beats. So let me put that quarter note back. And then let me have a rest with 3 beats. I have a half rest with a dot on it. And we can listen to what that sounds like. And then as you can see, the program automatically will put a whole rest in for you. So you might be asking, what do these lines mean? These are bar lines, and in between them are called measures. So that has to do with the time signature. The first note of a measure is usually louder than the other ones to emphasize the meter, so that is a good rule to write down. And so you might be asking, how do you show how to sustain a note through a bar line? What if you don't want a note on the first beat of a measure? Well, then you would have to use ties. So if I wanted this F to ring through to here, and then have a G on beat 2, I would have to have a tie. So I'll show you how that works, or how that looks and how it sounds. So this one beat right here is called a pickup measure, and normally the other 3 beats are made up for at the very end. So you would count this as beat 4 right here. So 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I'm going to talk about some more advanced symbols that you might encounter, and this is called a fermata, which means to hold or pause or grand pause. So we can listen to how the computer interprets that. I don't know if the computer will hold it, but yeah, it seems a little longer. And this is another symbol that you might encounter. This is called an accent, and that means to put emphasis on a note, and that's usually not on a main beat. So remember the rule where the first note of every measure is played louder. That wouldn't necessarily be true with this measure because you would put emphasis on B2, which is normally quiet. So we can listen to how the computer interprets that. Yeah, it's a little louder. So you might have noticed by now that the pattern continues. If this note is C, then if this note is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, then this is a C just as this. So these are called octaves. We can listen to what those sound like. So it's the same flavor of note, I guess you could say. So we could have C, D, E here, then we could have C, D, E here, an octave higher. It's going to sound sort of like the same thing. So then you might be asking, are there only 7 pitches in music? Because C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then this repeats. But there are actually 12 tones in music. So I'm going to notate all 12 tones in the music system using quarter notes and using only sharps. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E, and then E sharp, and then E sharp, and F are the same note, and then E sharp, and F are the same note, and then E sharp, and F are the same note. So since E sharp and F are the same note, we should pick one. So let's get it E sharp because that's confusing, and then F sharp, and then G, G sharp, A sharp, B, then B sharp, and C are the same note, then B sharp and C are the same note, then B sharp and C are the same note. So since B sharp and C are the same note, let's pick one. We should get rid of B sharp because that's kind of confusing. So we can listen to what this sounds like. It doesn't sound very good because it's in every key at once or no keys at all, so I will explain keys in a later lesson. So now we are going to do what is called enharmonics, which means the pitch is the same but it is spelled differently. To prove it, I will say that C sharp and a D flat are the same note, and I'll play back the measure just to prove it. So let's do chromatic scale starting from C, using only flats. C, D flat, you would have to specify D natural. E flat, you would have to specify E natural. There's nothing between E and F, so F, G flat, G natural, A flat, A natural, B flat, B natural, and C. And then there's nothing in between B and C, so just C. We can listen to what that sounds like. And you can hear that they are the same thing, they are just spelled differently. And you also might have noticed that there are natural symbols over certain notes, but over others, like this E, there isn't a natural. And a good rule to remember is that if there is an accidental, like a sharp or a flat, it will work across the whole measure. So if I were to write another D flat right here, I wouldn't have to put another flat symbol. It would just do it automatically for me. So a performer would read that as C, D flat, D flat, D flat, because this one flat symbol carries throughout the whole measure. But then if I were to have a D flat, it's automatically going to make that a natural, because the symbol only carries across to the bar line. So let's listen to what that sounds like. A good rule to remember is that there is nothing between E and F in B and C. So you might want to put below that E sharp equals F, and F flat equals E, and B sharp equals C, and C flat equals B. Moved on to a different set of music, and this one's just for guitar. So if you notice that there's only one line and that there's no bass clef, because guitar doesn't really read bass clef. And so you might have noticed the difference here is that there's two symbols right here, an F sharp and a C sharp. And these symbols carry through, even through bar lines for the rest of the piece. So this F is an F sharp, and we can play it back to see how it sounds. It sounds very similar to the do, re, mi that we were just doing in C major. It's going to have the same interval content. That's do, re, mi too, it's just a bit lower. So if you don't want an F sharp there, you have to go out of your way and put a natural. So the reason why you would have a key signature at the beginning is because you're not working in C major or A minor, you're working in another key that requires a lot of sharps and accidentals, and instead of putting an accidental over every single note, it just carries through the whole piece, so it will make the piece look a lot less intimidating, and people will want to play it more if there's a lot less ink on the page. Let's look at the circle of fifths. You can see that I started out, the first piece was in C because there wasn't anything in front of the clef. And right now we're in D because there's two sharps. And there's total of 12 major keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 12 minor keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So you definitely want to pause the video and write this down, or pretty much tattoo it on you if you're a musician, because you'll be using it a lot. One trick to remember the order of everything is, well, for one, this is going in fifths. 5 notes away from C is G, 5 notes away from G is D, 5 notes away from D is A, etc., etc. And also another way to remember it is bead, B-E-A-D, greatest common factor, GCF. And that would be the order of flats. So B, B-E, B-E-A, B-E-A-D, B-E-A-D-G, B-E-A-D-G-C, etc. And then you would reverse that for sharps, F, C, G, D, E, A, B, F, F, C, F, C, G, F, C, G, D, F, C, G, D, A, F, C, G, D, A, E. So before we noticed that 2 sharps was D major, so pretty much what it automatically does is that it turns these notes into a major scale automatically. And you might have noticed on the sheet too that D major is the same thing as B minor. So if we go from B to B with 2 sharps in the front, F sharp and C sharp, it will automatically make a B natural minor scale without any symbols necessary. And so if you want to cancel out a key signature, you'll see something like this, where there are 2 natural signs getting rid of these 2 sharps. So even though these 8 notes are the same note as these 8 notes, well, they're not really the same notes, because this is an F natural and that's a C natural, and this is an F sharp and this is a C sharp. So we can play those back and see what those sound like. So you can see why having 2 sharps at the beginning would make writing in D major a lot more easier, because you don't have to put extra symbols in. So let's take a look at what this looks like on a different program. You can see that C and C is here. Here's staff notation, a guitar and piano, and then This is the 12 tones of the music system, just in interval format. So you would count the unison as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tones in the Western music system. And you don't count the octave because we counted the octave down here. And you can see on the piano that white keys don't have symbols in front of them over here. And all the black keys do have symbols, so they're sort of like the in-between notes. So let's count the 12 tones of music on the piano. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you don't count the octave, because we counted it down here. And let's do the same thing on the guitar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we don't count the octave because we counted it down here. If you want to learn more about intervals, watch my interval lessons. Thank you for watching.